righty. Welcome to Fit Faith and Purpose 360 Total Woman Podcast. I'm your girl, Deirdre, aka DBanks. Here we talk about all things fitness, faith, and purpose. And we help women to become whole in every area of their lives. I'm excited about this podcast today because I have two amazing women that I've met in 2025 that were very instrumental in my life and making sure that one, I heal right. Two, I'm intentional about work-life balance. So without further ado, I want to bring up Jordana, who you guys are already familiar with. She is my physical therapist. So hi, say hi, Jordana.
Hello.
All righty. And then number two, I'm bringing to the stage Laura, who is the one who taught me everything about work-life balance and how to travel for cheap.
Yes, hi.
All right, so the icebreakers. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
I can do it.
Okay, I'll let her go first so she knows what to do. So when you wake up in the morning, you already know what's that go-to song that keeps you energetic, or that song you listen to throughout the day that helps you stay motivated. Go ahead, Jordana. You know.
It's the same one. Eye of the Tiger, Rocky.
All right, Eye of the Tiger. Okay.
Same
what
one.
about you, Laura?
Oh, I like Carrie Underwood's Champion.
All right, that's a good one. Okay. So you was ready. You already knew. Okay. All righty.
I listened to that song while I'm getting ready and on my way to work.
Okay. So what about that song makes you feel inspired?
I don't know. It's just an empowering song. I think, it's like just kind of pumps you up for the day. It's a positive note.
Awesome. And then Jordana, Eye of the Tiger. Why is that your favorite song?
Because you just think about Rocky training to Eye of the Tiger, and it just motivates you to get going.
Right. It does. It really does.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to jump in. But before we completely jump in, if you haven't already liked, subscribed, or followed us on YouTube or all the other platforms for podcasts, please do that now. What are you waiting for? We're a community of women helping each other to grow and to be better. So I would love to have you in the community. So let's get started. So in this topic, listen, I'm excited because it's navigating wellness without limits. So we know we as women put ourselves second, and we don't stay committed or be intentional about making sure that we're taking care of ourselves consistently. And being that 2025 is a year for me that I've set to rise, rebuild, and renew, I'm being very intentional about what I do to make sure that I'm doing well in my life, not both just physically, but mentally, spiritually, in every area. So I want to invite you guys in to let's talk about what are some of the barriers that women have and not making sure that they put themselves first or taking care of themselves. Whoever wants to jump in.
I think work life is the biggest thing.
Yeah, it really is. Why do you think that's one of the biggest things?
When you work in healthcare, I work in healthcare, Jordana technically works in healthcare. We're all taking care of everyone else. We don't step back and take care of ourselves.
Right. That's true. What else do you think, Jordana, it's another barrier?
Yeah, I think that especially in my setting, I get to see a lot of what are the things that limit, especially women. Mm-hmm. And a big part of it is time commitment, like the time that you have to commit to do that kind of stuff. Not because women don't want to, but because we feel guilty for taking that time for ourselves. Right. Because we are taking care of kids, taking care of our career, everybody else before ourselves. So I see that a lot. And especially starting this year, I've had multiple patients have to call and reschedule appointments or push back their appointments because, for example, snow day, they had to take care of kids. Yeah. And, what do you do when, you have a kid or a grandkid that you have to take care of? You have to cancel your PT appointment. Right. And, I always encourage, bring them in. I don't care. Bring them in, sit them in the waiting room. That's fine. But I feel like it's those things that we put other people's needs or whatever before ourselves, and we feel guilty for taking that time for ourselves.
Yeah, I think another major one, which I think sums all of those things up you guys are talking about, is that superwoman syndrome. Well, we feel like we have to meet everyone else's needs. We have to take care of everyone we serve. And then we forget to be intentional about our needs and our wants until it's too late.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about what happens when it's too late. Like, what effect do you think that has on us, especially because we're all in the healthcare field? Laura, you are with patients a lot. What are we seeing when we have put ourselves on the back burner? What is the effects of that?
I mean, you get to a point where you allow stress to take over, your cortisol levels rise, your immune system as a result of that gets shut down. You start getting sick. You can't take care of yourself. When you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people as you need to. I mean, you and I have seen firsthand patients come in and they're diagnosed with cancer or tumors or whatever, and that can be a result of stress.
Right.
Our body's not able to heal itself or to get rid of those cells that are causing those types of things.
Right. What about you, Jordana?
Yeah. For me, I see a lot of like women pushing back, like getting their knee looked at or getting their back looked at. And they come to me, saying they've had this back pain for 10 years. And I'm like, okay, what have we done about it? And they say nothing. Or, they've taken just medication for 10 years and it helps sometimes it doesn't. And then they come see me. And, at that point, they're in such pain that it's hard to get started and get going with what we need to do exercise wise to get better.
Yeah.
So that's what I see more than anything, is people just putting off their physical ailments until the very last minute. And then at that point, it is painful and hard to get past that point. So that's what I see a lot of.
Yeah. And I'm guilty. I'm very guilty because I did that with my back. I put off back surgery for a whole year until it landed me into the emergency room. And at that point, it was no more a choice. It was, we have to now schedule surgery within 30 days. Right. So I definitely understand. And I put it off because of work, putting my job first, who would be there to take care of the patients, who would be there, to make sure scheduling, like I put my job before my health, which was not a good thing to do. And thank God I had Jordana, because I also put my job before my healing process. So I was back at work, I think 3 weeks after back surgery, and then had to be in Jordana's office for 4 weeks after surgery to get recovery, because I wasn't even healing right because of the stress of work. So I was guilty of putting my job before my own healing process. So what strategies can we do to make sure we're intentional about not allowing this to continue on? Because we're in the first month of January, right? And we got 11 more months to go. And at this point, why should we wait until it's an emergency before we put ourselves first? Like, what strategies can we put into play?
I mean, I think that you just need to set a goal, start with baby steps, know where you want to get to eventually with your wellness overall. Realize that wellness is more than just diet. It's exercise, it's physical therapy. It's making sure that you're maintaining a good work-life balance. And like I said, just set those goals and have little increments that you're getting to so that you can have a good end result.
What about you, Jordana? What do you think?
Yeah, for me, from like the more physical side, I always encourage people to exercise regularly, obviously, whether that's walking or, whatever kind of exercise you enjoy and you'll do that. And then as far as like any kind of physical ailments go, I always tell, like, I explain it to especially my women patients this way: like, when you start hurting, come see me, because you can come see me. We might get it better in 2 or 3 weeks, versus if you put it off for 5 months, it might take us 5 months to get you over it. Yeah. So, if you're worried about the time commitment of it, or, things like that, if you come to me sooner, most likely we'll get it better quicker. And then you'll be back to your regular life quicker too.
Yeah. That's true. So, personal wise, so we talked about how I met Laura, working at A&I together. What I learned from her is work-life balance. She mastered this. And so tell me what drove you to decide like this was important and how you got to that place to make it happen.
Like with all my travels.
With your with your travels, but I mean, it started someplace. Like, what was that wake up call for you to say, wait a minute?
For me, I think it was just being a nurse working through COVID, seeing all of the deaths and realizing that you get one life and I'm going to live it the best that I can, I mean, being a registered nurse, most of my work is 12-hour shifts. And so I work typically 3 days a week unless I pick up more schedules. And so I can pretty much maintain my schedule. I'm fortunate enough that I can say I want to work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of one week and then work Thursday, Friday, Saturday of the next. And then I've got 7 days off in between. And so I can go and do something and make sure, with the stress of being in the medical field, it takes a toll mentally, physically, all of the above. And you just have to make sure that you're maintaining that work-life balance and getting away from the stressors that are causing you to, be in pain and need someone like Jordana to put you through physical therapy because now my back hurts because I've lifted a patient that weighs 400 pounds.
Yeah, that's definitely true. What about you, Jordana? Because your life is getting ready to change.
Yeah, that's true.
So how important will it be for you to get prepared for work-life balance and all of that?
Yeah, I think that's something that I learned kind of quickly after I got out of PT school. I was thinking about this when I read your text message earlier, Dee, is that, for me, when I was in PT school, I was working out a couple hours a day, hanging out with my friends at night, like transitioning from that to my work day, 8 to 5, 7:30 to 5:30 or whatever, it was completely different. I mean, I had to change how I exercise, when I hung out with friends. And I think that like being adaptable like that and figuring out a schedule that works for you and being okay with letting go of that part of my life was hard for me. Like letting go of that, gym time that I had every day. Because it was more than just exercise. It was mentally like that's what I needed every day. Yeah. As well as, studying with my friends until midnight every night. Like that kind of stuff I had to let go of. So I think that is a big part of it for me. Like realizing that your life changes and that it's okay to adapt to that and figure out a schedule that works for you. And obviously, like I'm having a baby in March, so that's going to be a big change for me.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I think it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be trial and error, like what works for my schedule, what doesn't work for my schedule, and being okay with letting the parts that don't work for my schedule go. And I think that's a big deal for me.
Yeah, I like that what you're saying is giving ourselves grace and flexibility to let things go without beating ourselves up because we do as women. We want to hold on and make everyone happy and then forget that we can give ourselves grace to make things, balance out what's best for us. And that means maybe saying no to somebody else and what their wants and their needs and their desires are if it does not align with where we're going. How important is it as women to have community to make sure that they're held accountable to stay on track like this?
I think it's super important. I mean, you need a backbone for yourself, and then you need that support for making sure that you're staying accountable for where you want to get.
Yeah. What about you, Jordana? What do you think? How important is community?
I mean, I see that, every day with my patients. I have patients that, are probably close to being able to be discharged. Like they're feeling better, they're doing good. They can probably do this stuff at home that they need to do. But they want to keep coming back because of that aspect of it, like the community aspect of it. Like they get to come to the gym, they get to see people that they see 2 or 3 days a week. Yeah. I get to watch them do their exercises. They get to ask me questions. Like I see that every day. And especially once people come in and realize how beneficial therapy is for them, they don't want to stop. And, part of it is just the exercise portion of it and that they're getting better. But a big part of it is the community and being around people that are going to motivate you to do what you need to do.
Right. Wow.
I agree.
So anything you guys want to add, anything we may not have thought about that you have seen in your day-to-day life, your practice, that we may have missed or haven't talked about?
Well, I think that we all just need to realize that, like I said earlier, you get one life and you need to live it. Don't wait until you're retired.
Right.
You know,
or don't wait until you have to go to the hospital
yes.
and then be forced to live that life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the only other thing that I had written down is, exercise wise and staying active and healthy is finding something that you like. Because people ask me all the time, what exercise should I do? And I'm like, do what you like, what you're going to enjoy, like what you'll be consistent with. Because that's what you're going to do for a long period of time. That's what you're going to continue doing and enjoy doing. And that's what you need to do. And that, I feel like, physical wise, exercise wise, is the biggest takeaway for me, is just finding something that you enjoy and sticking with it.
Yeah. It's kind of the similar lines that I'll tell my patients when they're discharging from the hospital. Like, say they come in and they're a diabetic patient and they're newly diagnosed with diabetes. And now they've got this whole lifestyle change that they have to make in order to maintain good health. I'll tell them, like, it's hard to just cold turkey things and begin exercising and just change your diet altogether. So I just tell them, start slow and start with portion, and then work your way up from there.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good idea. So I'm glad you talked about that. How important is nutrition in making sure that we're taking care of ourselves, and baby steps versus just going cold turkey on everything? Because it's rarely you can stay consistent with cold turkey unless you're forced into it. And like I said, that's when you've gotten so bad off to where now your doctor says you got no choice.
Yeah.
But how important is that? And how can we do baby steps?
I mean, you never want to get to a point where you are so bad off that you have to go cold turkey, but just the baby steps to get there. I mean, it's important because it helps you maintain a new lifestyle. It's not just something that people call a diet, to where it is temporary. And in 3 months, maybe you're going to quit that diet because it's not working for you, or you're going to change it and you're just going to go through this cycle back and forth. I'm going to cut everything out as far as sugar and carbs and all that. And then 3 months, I'm going to be back at it because it's too hard to maintain. So if you just cut back on those things and don't consume as much, then you're going to more than likely be able to have better results in the end.
Right. What about you, Jordana? What do you think, especially with recovery?
Yeah. So for me, what I tell people is, like, exercise wise, if you're just starting into it, get into a habit of doing something. Like I said, number one, find something you enjoy. If that's walking, great. Every day, set an alarm at 9 a.m. and go walk for 10 minutes and get into a habit of doing that. That way, when you, like, a day that you stop doing that, it feels weird to you, or it feels like, days off.
Yeah.
And rehab wise, I tell them the same thing. Like, Dee, I give people home exercises to do.
Yeah.
Don't give them a sheet and tell them, hey, get into a routine every day at lunch. You're going to do this. Or every morning, set an alarm for 9 o'clock. You're going to do it then, and you're going to do it right before you go to bed. And I think getting into that habit of doing those things is the best way to go. And like I said, even if it's, sometimes I give people like 10 exercises to do at home. Not usually. Usually it's 2 or 3. But I say, hey, pick 3 of these, do them today, pick another 3, do them tomorrow, and then slowly work your way up to doing, however many in a day, and see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, eventually it becomes habitual, and you get to the point where when you don't do it, your body craves it and you want it, and you don't realize that your body will crave it.
Yeah. And it's good for your mental well-being. You know what I mean? Like when you're taking care of your body, you're taking care of, like you said, getting out and work out. Like I love walking. I love walking out and about. I like walking by water because it's free flowing to me. So it feels like everything is calm. And then that's when I do my best thinking. But when I don't do it, then I feel unbalanced. Like I did get that in today and I need to get that in so I can just flow. And it's just refreshing to be out and about. What tips can we end off this podcast with that you guys want to leave with women to help them be successful in 2025 with no excuses? What's something you can leave them with?
I mean, like I said, the biggest thing is baby steps. Start small and work your way up. Have a goal, set small goals. Say today I'm going to walk 5 minutes, like Jordana said. And then by next week, I'm going to start walking 10 minutes. And at the same time, I'm going to incorporate, maybe instead of going back for seconds to make my body healthier, I'm just going to do 1 plate of food and then just slowly increase that.
What about you, Jordana?
Yeah, I think the best tip I can give, especially women, is to just not feel guilty about taking care of yourself, whether that be diet, exercise, whatever. Like if you have to take an extra 30 minutes of your day preparing a healthier meal or going for a walk or doing something that's going to be healthier for you, don't feel guilty about that because you left a load of laundry in the dryer or whatever. You have to put you first before other things. And I think women have a hard time doing that. So I think that's the main thing, is realizing that this is going to help you live longer and be healthier and happier. And that has to be put first.
Yeah.
And I think setting boundaries too.
Oh, thank you. That's so important. Okay. Let's touch on that for 1 second. Setting boundaries. How important is that? Because I didn't even think about it. We should have said this earlier, but I'm glad you touched on that. What is, number one, a healthy boundary? What is that? What does that look like?
Saying no to people. You don't always have to say yes. When you've had a long day at work and somebody says, hey, do you want to go out and have dinner or hang out, and you're just tired and you need that relaxation time for yourself, that mental time for yourself, learn to say no. It's okay. I can do it later, Yeah.
What about you, Jordana? What does a healthy boundary look like?
Yeah, and I think this is on the same lines as what Laura's saying, but it's also about like being dedicated to what goals you set. So if you have someone who says, hey, let's go to dinner or whatever, but you have a goal that you're going to go walk in the night for an hour or do your workout for an hour, you have to also have a boundary in that way and say, hey, I'm going to stick with what my plan is and do this and say no to that friend or, any situation like that.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is for women learning to say no to things that aren't going to serve them or that they just don't want to do. Whether that be going out to dinner or leaving dishes in the sink or laundry in the dryer and doing what they need to do for themselves and their health in that day.
Yeah.
So.
That is so good. Yeah, it's very important that we set boundaries for our, like you said, not only for people, but for ourselves. Whatever we put into play that we want, I believe it's very important to write down your goals and then the action steps to get there. But you also have to be held accountable for your own boundaries for yourself, meaning that, like you said, if it's getting up, setting an alarm clock to want to go work out, that is something I need to do. And I can't wake up and say, I don't feel like it, because sometimes you can't be driven by your feelings. The same thing with saying no to someone if they don't align with what you're doing. If they're not willing to go work out with you, if they're not willing to help you be held accountable with your eating, that means you may have to move them aside for a little bit because they're not helping you progress and giving yourself the opportunity to be successful as well. So anything else we haven't touched on? This is good. This is good. I want to end this podcast with Jordana. How can they find you? How can they reach you? Because I've referred a lot of people to you. I am telling you, is amazing. I've never met someone who cares more about what they do, and she gives you her whole heart. I mean, I'm being honest with that. Like literally, you're invested, and I've never met a therapist that really wants to see her patients win. So how can they reach you?
So the best way is to just call the clinic. I work at Physical Therapy Institute in Sherwood. Our number is 501-301-4530, option 2. You guys can also email me. My email is jandrews@ptipt.com. Even if it's just a random question, shoot me an email. Usually I'm pretty responsive on that work email. So, and I tell people all the time, especially old patients, if they have a new problem that comes up and they don't want to come to the clinic right then, shoot me an email. I'll send you some exercises. You can try them. If it works, great. If not, come see me. But we take all insurances. We're very flexible, so we can get you in quick. But yeah, just call us. We'll help you out.
Hey, Laura, you want to close with anything?
I'm just going to say that if you don't take advantage of going to see Jordana first, you're likely going to end up seeing me in the hospital.
Bingo. That's true. That is true.
And then you're going to come anyway. So,
huh?
I said, and then you're going to come see me anyways after that.
Right. So you're going to see them both. So I would say preventative. I know we talked about that our last podcast together. If you can do preventative, please do, because she is right. If you don't go see Jordana and do the work, you will end up in the hospital where Laura is, because we do work at a neuroscience hospital where we see a lot of patients with surgeries who don't pay attention. Sometimes we take minor surgeries for granted, right, Laura? We see them right back in 2 weeks later for either a washout or having to go back in. So your health is so important to stay focused on, especially for this year, so that you are successful and you're not having to be stuck on your back because you did not take care of yourself for whatever reason.
And I will say, if you see me in the hospital, I will be making you work. So I'll be prepping you to see Jordana.
Yes, I believe that. I so believe that. The final thing I want to end out with is community is important. I believe community. We do have a community, FFP 360 Sister Circle, that is brand new, that I'm excited about. It's a community where we can come together and hold each other accountable. And to also have these ladies in from time to time, because they're very good at what they do. I'm very excited to know them outside of their profession. They're amazing women. And that's all I got. What y'all got?
That's all I got. Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, we are fulfilled. We're full. I will have in the description all of Jordana's information, how you can reach her, how to call them. All of that will be in the description area. How to join the community will be in the description area. And so as we end all podcasts, I love you, God loves you, and there is nothing you can do about it. Bye for now.